Hello, I just wanted to come on here and kind of get on my soapbox again about eye stuff. Had my yearly exam today. I was rather disappointed. I won't mention any names, but it wasn't nearly as thorough as it has been in the past. And I'm hoping he probably had a bad day. Because stuff like my distance is always bad. Right? My near vision has gotten worse, and I've told him about 7 times. I have a 3-add, which means a 3-add onto my other prescription so that I can get the near vision, right? Bifocals. I told him, I said, that's not enough. I'm trying to add things onto it, and it's just not working. Well, I have to do a full refraction. Okay, fine. And then he's like, well, you don't have insurance. I literally spent 10 minutes at the front window when I first got there explaining my insurance situation because it just changed yesterday. So anyways, we got the refraction and all of that. Before this, the tech takes you back. That's what I was. I was the tech. I was the person that takes you back and does all the testing and the notation and all of that stuff. It takes you back, does your vision. Well, they never, ever believe me. I can't see. And the thing is, where I worked in it for so long, I know that regardless of what they want you to see, if you cannot see it without squinting, don't tell them that. Because they will put it down and it'll say 20/40, and that's not accurate. If you can't see it without squinting, you can't see it. Okay? So, I am legally blind. The big E isn't even clear. Okay? I know it's an E. Obviously, most of the world knows it's an E. I know the rest of the eye chart, but I'm not going to tell you it. Right? So, anyways, she does that, and she's like, looking at me this whole time, and I'm like, oh my God, just, can we get on with this? And then she's like, okay, so I'm going to dilate you. And she gets the drops in her hands. And I said, you need to check my pressure first. Oh, okay. Didn't have it's called a tono pen. It's a handheld device. Didn't have it in the room, nowhere near. Which tells me she doesn't usually do that. So anyways, that checks the pressure in your eyes, which is usually the glaucoma thing. Glaucoma is increased pressure in your eyes. Mine was 14, which is really good, especially for having implants and all this other stuff. Really good, so she went ahead and dilated me. Never mind the fact that the office was crazy busy. Kids screaming, running around, crying, and the wait was really long. So, obviously my hip hurts. But, I wanted to come on here not to have a bitch fest, not to have a pity party. I wanted to come on here and explain, for today's visit even, why I'm so adamant that you get your records. Why I'm so adamant that you know what they're talking about. Yeah, I do know what all of this stuff is. So when he tells me I have amblyopia, I'm like, okay. Most people are still going to say okay, even though they have no idea what it is. And if you say okay without asking questions, you're never going to know. That's why I get on here and I do live videos to try to teach you all of this stuff. And as I always say, they always talk to each other in medical terminology. And most of it, they never tell you. Okay? So I actually have my report here to give you some examples. Let's see here. So they have, I don't know what you can see here. 2200 with and without glasses, because I said, I don't wear my glasses for distance. It doesn't help. Do you think they listen? Absolutely not. They're like, put them on anyway. Okay, I will, but you're going to get my vision without them, because that's how I am 24/7. I only wear my glasses for reading because they don't help at distance, okay? So, again, if you weren't knowledgeable on that, you would just go ahead and agree with them. And those glasses, they could be way wrong, and then they're getting a way wrong number, okay? The pressure was 14 in both eyes. OU, both eyes. So then, let me turn this around here. I know I've explained several times about subjective versus objective results. And that's not just with eyes, but this is going to be my example today, obviously, with eyes. So what that means is, yeah, there is no anatomical reason why I should not be able to see and everything not be clear and yada, yada, yada. But I can't. I mean, I don't know why they think that someone would lie about that, because that's just silliness to me. But anyways, objective is them saying, hey, you can see, because this, and this is okay. So you can see. Subjective is, I'm sorry, all of that might be right, but I can't see. So to me, subjective is always more important, whether I was on the patient side of the chair or the professional side of the chair. I always wanted the subjective, and this is why. Okay, so I don't know how close you guys can see. Auto refraction. You guys have seen me do videos. I think I did a video and a post actually about the LensCrafter ad that's saying, oh, we can just do this and we don't need your opinion, and then we're going to give you glasses because we know it's best for you, in a nutshell. So the auto refraction is that test that they're doing. The auto refraction gives you a guess. Okay? It gives you a starting point. It gives you a number to put in to the better or worse machine to get a jumping point, so that you don't have to start from zero. Because if you have a really high prescription and you start from zero, you're going to be there all day. So it gives you a point to start from so that they get a better idea. Okay? So, you look at this. My auto refraction, you see that? Now you go down here, this is what my glasses were. And this is what the better or worse turns up. So there we have OD is right eye. So it went up from the, oh shoot, there it is. The auto refraction says I have a negative 25, 75, 98. This one is plus 1, 75 at 90. So that last part is okay. And that's just basically saying you have astigmatism. So my left eye, which has gotten drastically worse in my subjective opinion, okay? Refraction, auto is 0, 150, 92. So that means 0 is plano. So the only thing that they're correcting there is your astigmatism. Here is the one I left with, basically. 2, plus 2, negative 2, 90. Okay? Now, what does that mean to you? That means that, well, number one, don't go to LensCrafters. Do not, I repeat, do not go to LensCrafters and let them tell you what your prescription is without you having an input whatsoever. Okay? Very bad. Because you could end up with this plano and have a 2. Now, that's probably the closest that I've gotten. They did it after I was dilated, and usually they do it before and after. Probably the closest match that I've gotten, but that's still drastically wrong, right? That's, if you remember back in when I was talking about the prescription stuff, it's 8 clicks from normal. Yeah, it's only 2, but when you're talking in terms of prescription, that's a lot, you know? Is it a lot as my 26 was? Absolutely not. But it is enough that if they gave me a 0 when it should have been 2, I would know the difference. Okay? So we ended up going with a reading glasses. There's no point in me having a bifocal and paying all this extra money for a bifocal that I can't see out of the top of. A bifocal is, the top is distance, the bottom is reading. Well, if I can't see out of the top of it, why would I have it? Well, I do have bifocals that I wear all the time. Why would I pay for another one when I can't see out of the top of it clearly? Okay, so I said, no, give me reading glasses. That's what I want. And this is my reading glass prescription. If it'll clear up. There it is. So as you can see, the cylinder and the axis is the same as what it is below, because the cylinder and the axis is what controls your astigmatism, not necessarily your prescription as you know it. So that +4 and +5. That is basically saying, you take your prescription, the one that I showed you earlier with the auto refraction and all that, and you add 3, because I have the highest bifocal power that you can get, which is 3. So you add that on there. So I'm going to have a 5 and a 4 plus, which, if any of you have bad eyes, the higher the prescription goes, the thicker your glasses get, unless you want to pay a lot of money and get the polycarb and they're thin. Yeah, if you're going to wear them every day, I do recommend doing that, because they get heavy on your face and they give you a headache. And plus, if you are vain at all, they look better. So with these being reading glasses, and I'm only going to do them with reading, and if I need to look at the TV or anything else, I'm not going to use them. Why would I pay for that? If they had them at the Dollar Tree, I'd get them there, but they don't have a +5 at the Dollar Tree. They never will. So, anyways, off of my soapbox on the prescription thing. Then you come to things like here. You cannot see that. IOL is good, in good position. So that means interocular lens. My lens implant is good. Good position. Iridogenesis, that is when your eye shakes, it looks like it has water in it, when you have implants or you don't have any lens at all. Optic disc, normal. Ratio is normal. Appearance is normal. Now, did they check my optic disc the way they usually do and the way they should do when you have as many issues with your eyes as I do? No. You're supposed to do an OCT or retinal photography or something like that. Not just look with a light in your eyes. Stuff like that. Yeah, I'm dilated. Yeah, you have a magnifying glass, but it's not the same. That's why they have technology now, so why would you not use it? But again, they were busy. He was in a bad mood. Not usually an excuse. But since I'm able to read it, I can still decode what they're trying to say, right? Is my optic nerve pink? Probably not. It's never been pink. Pink is normal. Usually they tell me that one, I don't remember which one it is, but one is thinning and the other, so your nerves have this sheath around it, this covering around it, and the other nerve, that covering has broken down, and so there's holes in it. So that affects the nerve. Obviously, it doesn't have any protection. So, I've told you before, and PCPs, your primary care doctor, is notorious for doing it, but a lot of other doctors do it too. If they're using the computerized system, which most everybody does now, it auto-populates the fields to normal. Okay, so what that means is it makes the tech and the doctor's life a lot easier if Joe Bob comes in and everything's normal. They don't have to go in every slot and type normal, 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 or, the ratio or whatever it is that is normal, right? However, if they don't specifically check, let's say for an instance the optic nerve, it's going to auto-populate to normal. Is it normal? I don't know, because maybe they didn't look. Or maybe they didn't tell the person that they're dictating to, or there's a lot of reasons. But with technology, it auto-populates, and that is very, very bad for the medical records issues. That being said, I didn't, as I said already, I wasn't happy with the exam. It wasn't as thorough. Things like my iris transillumination. I've explained that one before too. It's when you lose pigment in your iris, the color part. isn't even listed on there. Is it a huge factor? No, probably not, but I feel like it's not normal, so it should be listed on there. So what I'm trying to preach on my soapbox here is you need to get your records. If you have anything wrong with your eyes, please watch my videos. Please learn what OUODOS, both eyes, right eye, left eye, mean, because that's going to help you so much. And just like today, they were in a hurry, so I was asking these questions that, he would have never asked me. Okay, if you know the basics and where you're at right now, you know to ask these questions. Like, the stitches in my left eye are 17 years old. They only have a lifespan of like 10 to 15. So, of course, I'm always worried about it because it's going to come undone one day, right? Now, he wouldn't know that I was worried about that. They are deep, so that's not something that he specifically looks at. He usually just looks at the placement. But where I'm aware of that and I know about that, I ask him. Didn't get the answer I wanted, but I asked him. Sorry, my arms are hurting. I had to wait on my ride for like over an hour. I'm using this transportation company. Anyways, I just got home from a 9 o'clock appointment and it's like 2:30, I think, something like that. Anyways, I also told him, when they make you look up, down, side to side. Well, when I do that, just little movements aren't quite as bad, but when I go to the extreme left or the extreme right, there's a pulling sensation, like straining, right? He looks at me and he's like, well, I don't know what that is. Well, me neither. I know enough to be able to tell you what is going on and explain it in terms that you understand, but I don't know why. I didn't go to medical school. So I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know why that's happening. I also told him, my distance or my near vision is getting worse. And for me, I have implants. So I've told you about what presbyopia, which means your eye is aging. It doesn't accommodate. So your near vision is going to get worse. That's the thing that everybody associates with eye doctor and aging. You can't avoid it unless you have implants, because your implants are already not accommodating correctly, and I already have bifocals, right? So, anyways, I'm telling him about all of this, and I was trying to explain. It's real weird, and I do understand why you didn't get it at first, because it is really weird. I'm trying to find something here to use. Okay, so if I'm watching a video, like a YouTube video or something, I start out here, right? Looking at it straight on. And inevitably, I end up having my phone way over here. So I end up here, looking out of the corner of my eye. And apparently that's more clear for whatever reason. I told him about it about 7 times before he understood, and it is confusing. And he still said, I don't know. I've never heard of that. I don't know. Well, it's obviously abnormal. So, a lot of the main diagnosis for me is amblyopia, which means essentially I didn't have lenses in my eyes for 11 years. The lens in your eye is the largest, most stabilizing part of your eye. So I didn't have that. So my eye couldn't fully develop and stabilize like it should have, which is another reason why I tell people that try to go years and years and years with no implants. You might want to rethink that, because when you do get the implants, your eye is so weak, you can't correct it. So that goes back to the subjective versus objective. Subjectively, I can't see. Objectively, they think I should be able to see. Well, when you go back and calculate in 11 years of weakness in both eyes, that makes sense. My eyes aren't strong enough to make that focus, right? So amblyopia, you'll never be able to get perfect vision. You can't correct it that far. It's just, if you do, it's like you have some type of miraculous doctor and you need to give me the name. But, so basically, you're never going to get it good, right? So, I have amblyopia. Yeah, that explains a lot of it. Doesn't explain some other stuff. It is lazy eye, but it's both lazy eyes. So, it's not like one drifts off. They're both lazy. They don't work together. I don't have binocular vision. So, it does explain a lot. But stuff like having the phone over here, that is just weird. And one thing that actually really pissed me off was when I was talking about the stitches in my left eye. He said, no, they're fine. Your lens is in place. Blah, blah, blah. Well, yes and no. When I had all of these people trying to figure out what was wrong with me in 2013, no one could figure it out until I went to Duke. If you use the slit lamp and you use the front-on examination, it appears that my lenses are in the correct position. However, when they tipped me back in the chair so that I was face up and used this ultrasound machine, which is really, really weird, by the way, they had flopped back, right? I know for a fact this one is flopped back, okay? I don't know how much it has gotten worse since 2013 is my major qualm here. So I tell him this, and I'm like, it's different when you put me back and you do an ultrasound. Well, I don't have an ultrasound. Okay. Number one, you didn't have to say it like that. Because you should have something, at least in the ballpark, to be able to tell me that important, very important information. Because if it's flopping back like it was, it's causing damage to the inside of the eye, the outside of the eye. It's not good. And they hurt when it's like that, right? His response was, well, it sounds like you need to go back to Duke. Okay. If I didn't live in West Virginia and it wasn't like a 5-hour drive, I would already be there. I would be there every time I needed an eye exam or, honestly, anything else because they're great. But they're 5 hours away or more. I don't really remember. So, is it that easy for me to go to Duke? No. And not only that, I would need a referral. And then I have to fight with my insurance tooth and nail. And likely they would still say, you're out of your mind, you're not going. So it's not that easy. I probably do need to start fighting for that because with my stitches being 17 years old, it's actually yesterday, these started 17 years. So, I probably do need to start fighting for that because I have this theory that it would be way, way easier to go in under a controlled operating room situation, just like they did with the right eye, and either replace or fix the stitches. Okay? The reason that is, if you let them break, you're going to have a trauma. Not only a visual trauma, but it's going to affect your retina and all this other really crappy stuff. Not to mention that your vision will go back to, or mine will, I don't know what yours was before, will go back to color and light only. So what happens, let's just say I was able to drive. What happens if I'm driving and that happens? That's obviously going to be even more trauma because I'll probably wreck, I might hurt somebody, I might hurt myself, right? So my opinion in this is let's go under a controlled circumstance and fix it. Why would we wait? It's going to break. It's stitches. They only have a limited lifespan. I've known this for years. This has already had to been replaced. They are already breaking, whether you can see them or not. I've had testing. And maybe it was 4 years ago, but that only tells me that it's gotten worse. Or 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Anyways, again, I'm not one here to have a pity party or a bitch fest. Really, anytime, I'm only here to tell you my story simply because there is something to learn behind it. there's something that can help you. Now, whether you listen to me and take my advice, that's something totally different, but I'm doing my job. If I know this information and I don't tell you, I'm doing you a disservice. So that won't happen. Now, that happened with my tough love too. If I know something that could help you and maybe, you're not in the position that you want to hear it, I have to tell you. That's my duty, right? So, there was a lot of babies in there, and that actually made my day better. Yeah, they were screaming and crying, and yeah, but it made my day better because inevitably, not all of them have a problem. If I would have had a kid, they would be there at like 6 weeks old. Now, can they tell you what the eye chart says? No. But that goes back to subjective, objective. You can't have a subjective opinion if you can't read the chart at all. Like, physically. Or mentally, I guess. But they can figure out, if nothing else, are your lenses messed up? Are your nerves messed up? There's a lot of stuff that they can figure out. So, I don't, under any circumstances, believe that you should wait until your kid goes to kindergarten and they have to go to the eye doctor before you go to the eye doctor. You go and take them to go to the dentist and get their teeth cleaned and this and that. And those are going to fall out. So how could it make any sense to not go to the eye doctor when you have those eyes your entire life? Just food for thought. Again, I know I'm crazy passionate about eyes, and I will likely be doing a couple lives here soon, just so that I can feel right about making sure that you guys have had the opportunity to learn as much as you can, right? And honestly, if you want to go in your appointment and record it, not visually, but just the sound, and send it to me, I don't care to listen to it. If you want to get your medical records and send it to me, I don't care to look at it and decode it. I mean, I would be happy to do that. I'm just trying to help you. And that is my sole mission every day with everything I do on here. So, hopefully, you guys got a little something out of that. And if you didn't, thanks for listening to me.